So if you were to one day walk up to your friend and ask them what the best zombie game is out there, they'll probably have some answers that are already widely loved. Maybe they'll say Left 4 Dead 1 or 2 due to the horde-based co-op survival against a bunch of special zombies. Maybe they'll say Dying Light due to them being able to run and jump circles around the normal zombies, while also having to actually struggle and maneuver against the tougher enemies. Or maybe they'll say Back 4 Blood as... No, nobody would ever say that Back 4 Blood is the best zombie game. Get the fuck out of here. But an answer that is pretty rare to hear, as it hasn't had nearly the amount of widespread popularity as the previous games, however isn't far from the truth as it being one of the best zombie games, would be Project Zomboid. Project Zomboid is an isometric open-world survival horror game created by the very small development team known as the Indie Stone, and even though the Indie Stone first consisted of only 4 people upon the game's creation in November of 2013, and even though that this game was their first and still only ever release, Zomboid would become a massive success over the years, with it being critically acclaimed on Steam, while also having an exponentially growing community consisting of both devoted modders and adoring fans and content creators. The Indie Stone completely knocked it out of the park with Project Zomboid, even with the odds stacked up against them, as it's kind of known around the gaming sphere that a small development team with a pretty hyped game behind it can lead to a bad turn of events. This is directly calling you out, Wolfram Von Funk. How the hell did you have a game like Q-World in the bag, but then suddenly you let go of it all and fuck every single fan over with your goddamn decision? Everything about this game is near perfect, or just perfect in general to me. How detailed the game is when it comes to trying to survive the day-to-day life is so complex yet so intriguing. How the zombies act when you're attacking them or just trying to get away with them is always so stressful but leaves you wanting more. Hell, the community took this game and modded the hell out of it to make it even more fun than it already is, which just makes the entire game just so fucking enjoyable all by itself. And even though this game has a very abnormal look to it, hell, I've even had friends tell me that they're not interested in Project Zomboid solely because of how the graphics resemble that of a Windows 98 game. Zomboid perfectly mocks those type of people by having so much depth behind the game, and that's why I wanted to make this video, to show the people who are interested in the game but are skeptical to play it that Project Zomboid is a massive gem in the survival horror genre due to how much dedication and passion was placed into this game. So with that being said, I want you all to sit back, relax, and watch as countless amount of zombies tear off your flesh because you thought you could stealthily pick up a fire axe to defend yourself. Enjoy. The first thing I would like to talk about in Project Zomboid is how to actually approach the game, because it's not like most zombie games in the sense that there's a coherent story or that there's characters or villains that have depth behind them, because it's actually the complete opposite. The only lore behind this game is that you're just another civilian who used to live a nice life in Knox County, Kentucky, but now has to prolong the inevitable death of being attacked by zombies. In fact, the first things that you see before playing the game is a massively varied character customization, which I'll talk about a little bit later in this video, and then a message telling you that this is the end and that you will die, which I fucking love. The game already knows that no matter how experienced you are or what character customization that you chose, you will have a slip out, but that will cause you to die and start all over. It gives a sense of impending doom that gets placed onto the character and shifts the goal from trying to survive in the zombie apocalypse into trying to see how long you can survive until you die. This simple message that Project Zomboid implements makes sure that the player knows what they are in for with this playthrough, while also giving them a level of uncertainty with their survival. It's very in your face and it works so well. Now, going into the game, your goal is still just to survive, but there are so many different ways to do so. If you want to, you can lay off the land in the farming areas or even just off the grid to try and farm for yourself and hunt while encountering only but a few zombies that wandered onto your property. Or you can enter the more urban areas in the 4 spawnable towns known as Rosewood, West Point, Muldrow, or Riverside to find some better loot, but you will face the threat of encountering a lot more zombies that can break down your home at any moment if you're not careful enough. And if you want to go really all out, you can head over to the city of Louisville to find the best loot, but you will encounter hordes on top of hordes of zombies, making it near impossible to live off of unless you found a good start with a good footing. And this good footing not can, but always will never be the same with the amount of replay value added into this game. Going back into the character creation, you can be every average Joe Schmo that you want. You can select through a whole list of careers that affect the way that you go into the game. Like a lumberjack has a lot of strength, meaning it's a good option if you want to scavenge and take on the zombies yourself. Or you can be a burglar, which is really good to sneak into houses or hotwire cars without the key needed. An electrician can be basically vital once the power and water get shut off after 2 weeks into the game, as you will be able to use generators to give power to your shelter. Or if you want to go all out, you can be just like an average Tiredcast viewer and be unemployed with no special abilities whatsoever. I'm sorry, I had to, I love you all. On top of the career path, you can select a whole bunch of different attributes that also greatly affect your character, and this selection is pretty genius. You have a whole list of positive and negative attributes that have different points alongside them. A tame positive trait like a fast driver will make you lose 1 point, but being something like a chain smoker will give you 4. And the whole goal of this selection is to maximize the amount of positive attributes you have while also having greater than or equal to 0 of the remaining points. So if you really want to, you can be a deaf fry cook that has really good aiming. I don't know why you wouldn't want to be that, but you can have fun with it as much as you want. This just makes you want to come back to the game more and more, as there are just a near infinite amount of outcomes to occur while playing the game with just the character selection by itself. But now that I've discussed how one will enter and replay the game, I should talk about the dangers of Project Zomboid, as it can be more than just the zombies. For one, you have to deal with the dangers of the outside world. You can have different statuses that can positively help you, like being full gives you an increased regeneration rate, but most of the time these statuses are likely gonna hurt you, like a bullet being lodged in your stomach will give you immense amount of pain. Your different effects like hunger, thirst, sleep deprivation, and other effects can add up, and when they do, you'll be really fucked. Like even just getting a scratch on your hand will lower your swing speed and damage by so much that only 3 zombies could easily take you on and kill you in the matter of seconds. You always have to keep an eye out on your character, whether that be looking at your temperature, checking your health, or just eating and drinking in general. And of course, if you don't, you'll become utterly useless and will curl up and die within the day. However, if you are able to do the easy task of just fucking living, you now have to deal with the dangers of the dead. And I gotta be honest and say that these zombies are the best fucking zombies that I've ever seen in a game. At face value, they're just slow and stupid, just like the zombies you would see in the shows like The Walking Dead or something like that. However, the dangers of these zombies come into play when there's either too many of them or when you yourself becomes overconfident, and both of these happen way more often than you would think. These zombies in Project Zomboid are sort of a constant in this game. With the default selection, they all have the same shambling speed that can be outwalked. They'll have a somewhat decent memory that'll make them follow you for a couple blocks, and when you're behind some walls or doors, they'll find the most effective way to get in, whether it be breaking down those walls or going into a different path. And so when you're facing just one of these zombies, you'll basically do fine. Even if you're new to the game, you're gonna be completely alright. Hit them in the head with a lead pipe, or if you don't have a weapon at all, just push them down to the ground and stomp their head in, and now you're facing no danger for the moment. But when there's even just 10 of these zombies coming at you, you have to maneuver through buildings to try and escape them, or try to pick them off one by one, but that's not really a good idea. Especially since if you are in an urban area where there are a good amount of zombies, they will notice the commotion going on and soon will be attracted by you, making those 10 zombies into 20, and then 30, and then if you're so unlucky, it could go up into the hundreds. But what if you have a gun now and your aiming level is high enough to actually connect the shots with the dead? What if you have police armor now that prevents bites or scratches? Or even, what if you have a car that just runs? Are you safe then? No. Not at all. This is where the overconfidence comes in. The game wants you to believe that you can finally take on a horde of zombies once you have attained pretty good loot, but most of the time you'll be sorely mistaken. This one time me and my friend decided to go over to Rosewood to loot the police station for guns and gears to take over the nearby prison. But when we arrived guns a-blazing, we were shocked to find out an overwhelming amount of zombies there that killed us like we were fucking nothing. And that's just one way that overconfidence can be your own downfall. Another more common way is when you're looting in a house and you don't notice that a zombie in another room is also in the house slowly breaking down the door. If you are not careful enough, you can open the door only for a loud violin jump scare sound bit to happen, and the zombie in the room is already biting off your face just because your dumbass didn't pay enough attention to the banging on the door. Also, by the way, that's the only time a jump scare happens in the game. You'll never experience a scripted jump scare while playing Project Zomboid, but rather it'll occur due to your actions, which will always scare you because because you will be left off your guard when it happens. It's just a way to keep you on your toes and to make sure that you are aware of your surroundings. Cause like I said just a million fucking times already in this video, if you are not perceptive enough and you are just playing the game carelessly, you will be doomed. Like, this game really doesn't need a zombie that'll blow up when you get near them, or will spit at you when he can't reach you, or even just a zombie that runs at you. This game wants to create a mental image of you being on top of the zombie apocalypse cause it knows you will never be, and I just love it about the game. Not to mention, if you want more of a challenge to the zombies, there's a whole variety of options that you can choose before launching your server or solo game. These options can affect the settings and when the apocalypse first took place, when the power gets disabled, and what I think is the coolest, how the zombies act. You can tamper with the in-game settings to make the zombies transfer the virus even if they just scratch you and not bite you. You can make more of them come out at nighttime compared to the daytime. Hell, if you want to, you can make all the zombies sprinters, but I really don't recommend it as you just won't survive. Like, I am telling you this right now, you will not make it past week 1 with the sprinter zombies coming at you. Now, the final danger that you can encounter while playing Project Zomboid, you can probably already expect. It's just other people, actually. Just like how you played any zombie apocalypse games, you do know the dangers of other people and how deceitful they can be just so they can survive. It's not a new type of feature at all, but that doesn't mean it isn't a good feature to include multiplayer in a zombie-based game. I think that just even adding a couple friends into your private server, which by the way you can heavily mod with the Steam Workshop, makes the game so much more fun and unpredictable when compared to playing single player or having you just being by yourself like a lonely little bitch baby loser. Now, the last thing I want to briefly touch up upon is how detailed the game really is, because for some reason, dude, this game went all out when it comes to just even adding the little details that can determine if you survive to see another day or will die a painful death. I'm gonna go down a list of a few details that I think are pretty neat and would have never guessed would be a thing in this game. You guys ready for this lightning round? Alright, let's go. You need to sleep every day, and if you don't have a bed, you can sleep on chairs or cars, but it will give you neck pain when you wake up. There's a small chance that a nightmare can wake you up in your sleep, which actually increases the more panic and depressed that you are. Don't mix antidepressant or sleeping pills with alcohol, just don't do that. Having different watches on determines if you can check the weather or the date. You can have a nutritionist trait that allows you to see the values of food, but if you don't have it, you can only see the values on packaged food. You can yell at zombies with the Q button, but when you're crouched, you whisper, attracting less zombies towards you. Helicopters spawn at random times to follow you and track what you're doing. If they spot you, they will follow you, causing hordes to come at you. Combining cigarettes with water creates insecticides for farming. Stomping on zombies without a boot or a shoe will cause pain to your foot and can sometimes make it bleed. And last but surely not least, you can create dead mice on a stick for food. What more could you ask for in a game? All in all, this game is an amazing zombie survival horror game. I would even go to the extent and say that Project Zomboid is better than games like DayZ, because unlike DayZ, the developers of this game are still putting their everything into this game almost a decade after the launch. They still put out regular updates, may they be bug fixes or additions to the base game, and as of recording this video, the Indie Stone is still planning on releasing Build 41, which will change up the entire game as you know it. They're planning on adding friendly and hostile NPCs, which to me would alter the game entirely and add a new level immersion to the zombie survival game. But as of right now and before this major update, this game is still really fucking good, and I highly recommend that you play it. I have almost 200 hours onto the game already, and I am being totally truthful here when I tell you that there are still so many things that I learn about each playthrough that I do. So with that, I recommend you playing the game just to see what is in it, as there are literally hundreds of tasks that you can do. As for me though, I'm gonna end this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video, maybe hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Bye for now.